Hey everyone, my name is Samantha Vinokor-Meinrath. I am a Jewish educator in the Cleveland area where I work with Jewish teens. And despite what it looks like, I am coming to you live from my house where I have been quarantined for the last 8 days. I've given myself the background of the Tel Aviv beach because I'm having some FOMO from the real world right now. But because, like many people around the world, I am close to someone who was diagnosed and tested positive with the COVID-19 coronavirus. As a precaution, I have been quarantined to observe myself and make sure that I am not showing any symptoms for just over a week now. And I'll be in my house for another 4 days. So, in that time, I have had plenty of time to binge watch a lot of good TV, to get a lot of random cleaning projects that I normally would procrastinate on done, to do some work, to spend more time with my dogs than I ever get to, which was really exciting, to have a few pretty significant breakdowns about how badly I just want to interact with society. Um, and then also, in all seriousness, to think about one of my favorite topics, which is self care. I think a lot about self care through a Jewish lens. And when I started thinking about it in particular this week, it felt a little bit awkward because in many ways it can seem like the world is falling apart around us. There are so many issues, so many people who are having real problems, people I know, people I don't know. I'm seeing statistics. I have friends who are in fear of losing their jobs. People who are losing their jobs. There are so many real things going on in the world right now, on both a micro and a macro level. And so when I start thinking about self-care, I feel like one of the first things that could be asked is like, why is that the focus right now? But what I think is the difference between self-care and selfish is that by engaging in self-care, each of us is able to become the best versions of ourselves. We're able to care for our minds, our hearts, our bodies, our spirits. And by bringing the best of ourselves to this crazy world that we're in right now is the only way that we're really able to help and support each other, in ways that are healthy for everyone involved. It's so easy to focus on what could we do and just to be overwhelmed by the news and the world that we're living in right now. But by taking a minute back and being a little bit introspective, I really believe we can bring the best versions of ourselves to that world, ultimately for not only our own, but everybody's benefit. And what I think is great about being a Jewish educator is I often think, nerdily perhaps, about the links between Judaism and self-care. I think that Jewish rituals, traditions, customs are really designed in ways that have such universal wisdom, things that we as the Jewish people have done in their various forms for thousands of years, align so directly with modern ideas about self-care. And I think it shows the timelessness of our tradition and how it could really be applied to us today, even in this crazy time when many of us are in our homes, either by choice as part of social distancing or because it's been asked or required of us, or unfortunately for those of us who might be sick right now, because we need to physically care for ourselves as well as for the world. So what I wanted to do is offer up my top 5 Jewish self-care practices for this age of social distancing. And I hope that those of you who I'm speaking to and sharing this with will be able to add your own in and let me know what you're doing to take care of yourselves during this time as well. So, number 1, find your Shabbat. Judaism is amazing at marking time. We have monthly holidays, the holiday Rosh Chodesh to mark the new moon. We have so many holidays. We've got Pesach coming up. We have holidays that mark the change of seasons, that mark history, that mark ritual, all sorts of different things. And we also have this special time once a week that we can mark as different. I'm not someone who keeps a traditionally Shomer Shabbat lifestyle. That's not what my Judaism manifests as, and it's not what works for my family. But we have the elements that work for us in terms of marking this day as different, of lighting Shabbat candles, of having a more festive dinner than we normally would with our family or with our friends, of making time to be together and to make this time and this day special. And especially in this week that we've been quarantined, it is so easy for each day to meld and blend and mesh into the other, and to look up and be like, I have no idea what day of the week it is because I haven't changed out of my pajama bottoms in 3 days, and I haven't left my house, and none of my normal routines are leading me to understand what day of the week it is. Hopefully I'm not alone in that. But by marking Shabbat in some way, however that looks for you, I think is amazing in being able to honor the passage of time, set aside some of it as sacred and different, and to take advantage of things we might not normally be able to do. I know my family is running 24/7. But to say, you know what, right now we're all here together. We're all at home. We can't go anywhere. What are ways that we can honor that time? That we can say there's something that's going to be different about this. We're not all going to be in our own separate rooms getting our Netflix on, but we are going to appreciate each other, or spend time together, or cook together, or do something that speaks to this Jewish need to set aside certain time as different and as sacred. So number one, find your Shabbat, whatever that looks like, whenever that looks like. Number two, hit the laptop. Judaism honors our bodies. We have this concept of Shmirat Haguf, which is guarding or caring for your own body. And especially in this time where people are really nervous about twinges within their bodies, we're taking our temperatures, we're checking on our physical well-being. That's awesome. And it's something that we should be doing all the time in a proactive way, thinking about how do we care for the physical space that we occupy in the world. So does that mean moving your body? Does it mean taking some time to honor your body and caring for it and saying what you like about yourself and not just what doesn't work for you, which too many of us tend to focus on when it comes to our physicality? Does it mean instead of doing what I did the first few days of quarantine and using it as an excuse to eat through all of the junk in my house, thinking about how do we keep healthy in what we're eating and how we're moving and what we're doing? How can we honor our bodies during this time? It's amazing that Judaism really asks us to do that and says that our physical selves are just as sacred as our spiritual and inner selves, because we have this idea that all of us are made in this divine image, and whether or not that speaks to you and your personal theology, I think the whole idea of caring for our bodies as something sacred is a really beautiful self-care practice that we find in Judaism. So number two, caring for our bodies. Number three is Seder. So Passover is coming up. It's our next major holiday. And usually when we say Seder, I think of the Passover Seder, the ritual dinner that most Jews around the world participate in each year, either with family or friends or your synagogue community or your chapter, whatever community looks like for you. But not just the dinner. Seder itself literally means order. And especially in this time when the order of most of our days has been totally thrown off. We're not going to school like we normally would. We're not going to work. We're not having the basic rhythms of day-to-day life that most of us are used to and rely on. And so I think it's super important that we take ownership of that and give our days order. I think that it's so easy to take this time where we're in our homes or we're not in our routine and get into lounge mode and wake up hours later and realize, like, I've been sitting on the couch, or I don't remember what time it is, or how did that much time pass? But to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to add some ritual to my day, to mark time differently than I normally do, but equally meaningfully. So maybe it's someone who normally would wake up in the morning and go to school, and you're not going to school right now. Maybe it's making sure that the order of your day is still waking up and beginning your day with some kind of learning, whether it's something that your school is sending home or something that you're interested in proactively learning yourself, or some kind of partner that you're connecting with to do some kind of study or some practice, or reading in the mornings, whatever it might be, to ritualize and mark that time. Maybe there's a certain time of day where usually you'd be having lunch with your friends or seeing your chapter, and now it's making sure that you give order to the day by still taking advantage of that time and checking in with someone and making sure that you're taking time to honor the things that you prioritize and give a rhythm, give an order, a Seder to your day, so that each day still feels full and meaningful and diverse and full of opportunity. So number 3 was give yourself a Seder. Number 4 is tikkun olam. We talk all the time about repairing the world, about contributing to the world, and right now the world needs it. There are so many people, individuals who are in need right now, organizations. There is literally infinite ways to help out. And that could be whatever it means for you. If you're someone who's still able to move about in the world, maybe it's, again, checking on an elderly neighbor or dropping off food for someone who is homebound right now. I can't even begin to describe how my community has rallied around, with people bringing us meals, with people bringing us ice cream, with a dear friend of mine coming to bring my dog to the vet, just coming out of the woodwork, near and far, just to check in and to say, we're thinking about you. We are here for you. We acknowledge you. And it's been amazing. And I've physically been homebound, so I haven't been able to go out and help and join the lines of people buying toilet paper and all of that, but have been able to check in on people who I know are alone, and to be able to say, hey, I just want to make sure you're good and you know that I'm thinking about you and that we're still connected and our community is going to rally through this. I think when it comes to self-care, it can sometimes cross that line into self-indulgence. And when our self-care is being part of the community and being there for others and being proactive and maintaining and building relationships, and helping the world however we can, we're helping ourselves and we're helping others, and looking externally can sometimes be the best way to grow internally. So number 4, tikkun olam. And then finally, number 5 is cheshbon nefesh. So this is a Jewish concept that literally means the accounting of the soul. It's something we usually talk about around the high holidays in the fall, where there's time to reflect on the year ahead, the year that passed, how we've done well, how we've fallen short, what I call our New Year's resolution season, if we can call it that. But this is such an interesting, unique juncture in many of our lives. And I think we could take advantage of it from a introspective, soul-searching place. We have downtime right now. We have time that we're not socializing, or we're not surrounded by the distractions of life in the way that we necessarily normally are. We are able to look inside, look outside, and this could be a great time for each of us to do a little bit of soul searching, to think about who we are, who we want to be. What are ways that we don't want this to be wasted time, whether you're quarantined for 2 weeks, whether you're off school for 3 weeks, whether your family is working from home and just your routine is messed up for however long, and hopefully it won't be that long for all of us and for the world. But to use it as a time to think about, what are things that I can work on? What are projects that I can give myself? What are new things that I can learn, or ways that I could be helpful, or opportunities to take advantage of this time with my family and with the people who are closest to me? Who are people that I can reach out to make sure they know that they are loved and that they're part of my community? What are things that I need? What do I need from the world? What do I need from myself, in order to feel healthy and happy and safe during this time? So taking the opportunity in terms of self-care to breathe in and to look at yourself is really just a way to take what could be a really hard circumstance for many of us, and turn it into an amazing opportunity and a gift. So those are my top 5 tips for Jewish self-care in a time of social distancing. Find your Shabbat, whatever that looks like. honor your body, shmirat haguf, build your own Seder every day, tikkun olam, look externally, and cheshbon nefesh, find your internal soul-searching place. I look forward to continuing the conversation and to hearing what everyone has to say about what they are doing for self-care during this time, and wishing you all a healthy, safe, and good rest of your week.